Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm GiGi, flying solo. As you know, Fruit Loop is headed to surgery Tuesday. Busy weekend for her, getting ready for all that. So, you guys are stuck with me. Sorry. Hopefully, she'll be back sooner than later. And she's feeling all the love you guys are sending. First, before we get started, I want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Two Cool T-Shirt Quilts. You can go to twocooltshirtquilts.com/pretty lies and alibis. Andrea and company will know we sent you, and they can take your t-shirts and make them into a quilt that is too cool. We love them. So, big weekend at my house. My teenagers have prom tomorrow. Look, all their friends are over tonight. They're having a great time. And I told them, hey, I'll chaperone, teach you guys the Cupid shuffle. They were like, no, please don't. So I'm going to take pictures and then come home and just be here. Anyways, so Anthony Todt, yesterday we got a verdict guilty on all counts. First degree murder in the deaths of his wife and three kids. And he also was found guilty of cruelty to animals for killing the family dog Breezy. Man, I've never seen somebody shake their head so long as he did. As soon as that first verdict of guilty came down, he started doing this. And he kept doing it for minutes and minutes and minutes till after the judge had sent the jury out. It was insane. I have to say, Circuit Judge Keith Karsten may be one of my favorite judges I have watched in years. He was so fair. I just loved that guy. Yeah, he's a really good judge. So, all right, let's talk about these closings real quick. This is the last episode we'll do on Mr. Tote. He can just fade into oblivion, and I hope I never hear his name again. Evil, evil man. The prosecution said if you watch the video, he clearly describes these murders. The only discrepancy is how he describes the stabbings. If you remember, the medical examiner said they came when the boys were already dead. Megan was still alive when she was stabbed. They said Anthony wanted control. So sometime between December 14th and 18th of 2019, he killed his whole family. He told investigators he had a suicide pact with his wife and the kids wanted to die with them. Defense said the case wasn't proven beyond a reasonable doubt. The expert testified he couldn't say for sure Benadryl caused the deaths, and the vet couldn't say for sure how Breezy was killed or died. They said the state did not prove meditation. They didn't provide any proof to back that up. He says that Megan did it all, and there's been nothing testified to that doesn't prove he did this. They had some jury questions once this went to the jury, and they had some issue with the audio on the laptop where they were watching some kind of footage, probably that confession. And they also asked for a pair of scissors. I don't think they got that. So then I'm actually out at an event for my youngest daughter at her school. She cheers and had an art show, and we were there. And I get this alert on my phone that the jury is deadlocked on some of the charges. And I'm sitting here thinking, what are you deadlocked on? I mean, we literally have a rambling video where he confesses everything. What are you deadlocked on? I thought maybe like the dog. But anyway, so the judge read the Allen charge. They went back about an hour later, maybe a little longer. They came back with a verdict. So the total deliberation was a little more than 6 hours. And that's when they came back and found him guilty. So after that, they had victim impact statements, and Megan's aunt gives a statement. I believe it was Megan's aunt. Maybe it was his. I think it was Megan's. Yeah, it was Megan's. She gave a statement and said that Tony crushed his family doing this, and they're all mortified. Megan had lots of empathy for everyone. She was gentle and had a giving heart. The kids were very talented. They would play for people in convalescent homes. Apparently, they were able to play several different instruments, and how sweet that they took the time to go do that. Their friends, the friends of the kids have been traumatized too. She said some of their friends have worried that their dad would do the same thing to them. And in April 2019, she talked to Megan because she noticed that Tony was gaining a lot of weight really, really quickly. And that probably goes back to that whole financial fraud federal thing they were investigating. He was going to get in big trouble for that. And she was worried The aunt was worried and offered to pay for him to have all these tests to make sure that he was okay. And she talked about how they would go out and have these girls' days, or they would take the kids shopping for shoes. And while they were gone, Anthony would frequently call Megan when she was out with her family. And after a while, she would get tired of it and decline the calls. And then he would start calling the aunt's phone. She really painted just a normal family, normal kids. And she said now all they have are pictures and memories. And I can't imagine. Even, you don't think about these kids' friends when you're watching these trials, but the reach is always so far in these cases, especially when children are involved. You have young kids who are losing a friend very brutally. And yeah, it was a reminder that these murders don't stop with the family as far as the impact. It's far reaching, and these poor kids. So they asked if Anthony wanted to make a statement, and of course he did. And it was a lot of me, me, me. I have to say, if I had $1 for every time he said me, I could probably take a trip right now. He said, "This was a catastrophe in everyone's life, including my own. I maintained my innocence. I provided for her, and she was progressively sick over the years. She had good days and bad days." He said that his wife and kids were on a pedestal by him. He would only sleep 2 to 3 hours a night because he was treating her, and he would fly back and forth. He said he appreciated her medical concerns. He said, "I would call so much," referring back to what the aunt was saying, "because I was worried about Megan. She had bad days. It wasn't a control thing." And he said his fear was something was wrong with her. And he said, "I wasn't there the night my children died." He said the Friday before this happened, him and Megan got into a disagreement, and he begged her to get help. He says that she screamed at my son. He didn't specify which one because he didn't clean the pot or let it soak per my instructions. He said that her emotional issues, I guess, is what he was referring to, had progressed since the miscarriage, and that she blamed him. And he found out that she had canceled a regular doctor's appointment. He said she was doing all this holistic alternative medicine, and she only told him the night before that she had canceled an appointment with a medical doctor. He said when she screamed at Tyler Friday the 13th, he told her she had until the end of the month, or he was going to get his aunt and her sister involved. She was very good at keeping her illness from the public. He talked about going to that recital just shortly, days before the murders. And he said, poor thing, he was walking on eggshells. He didn't like upsetting her, and she was primary in his life. He said, "I haven't treated you in a couple of days," and they tried a couple of physical therapy techniques. She said she was worried that he wouldn't love her anymore. And guys, this made me gag. He said, "I reminded her about the Footprints in the Sand poem." It's a religious poem where, like, somebody only sees one set of footprints in the sand. And it was then that I carried you in my arms, or something like that. And he said that's what he told her. Oh my gosh. The whole time the judge is just like staring him down, like, really? He said he didn't believe in her religion of choice, but he supported her. And at this point, his older defense attorney, who, listen, I know defense attorneys are not our favorite people, but I'm going to tell you, outside of the courtroom, this guy seems like a big papa. He stood up and said, "Mr. Tote, the judge doesn't have the authority to overturn the jury's verdict." And he was saying what we were all thinking, bless his heart. And he sat back down. Anthony said, "I know, but I need to let him know everything was okay when she woke up that next morning." He said he kept the kids outside to keep her stress free, probably referring to back when he talked about playing basketball in the front yard with the kids the night before the murders. "I left to go to the condo that night because everything was good. I fell asleep and woke up afraid to be on eggshells again because we had just reconciled. I ran back because I couldn't get my car started. Turns out my seat was too far back." I've never had a problem getting my car started because the seat was too far back, unless my little short legs couldn't reach the pedal. That made no sense. After the murders, he said he lived in nightmare every single suicide attempt. They talked about an altar, the prosecution did, where I think it was on one of the mattresses the boys was on in the floor. There was like a soccer scarf and some different things. They called it an altar. And he said it was actually a homeschooling project from the week before where they talked about the Egyptian pharaohs and what they took in the afterlife. His defense attorney again stands up and he's like, "This isn't helping you." And Anthony says, "I'm sorry. I love my wife and kids. They were first in my life. I didn't do this. I provided for them. I did everything I could. I understand the jury came back. I don't remember from when I fell down the stairs to when I was in jail." So then he sits down and finally hushes. And so the judge just didn't mince words. He didn't have this long, drawn out speech telling him what a horrible person he was. He said, "You are a destroyer of worlds." And he named off, "You are a destroyer of Zoe, of Tyler, of Alec, of Megan." And he sentenced him to life. So there you go. I have to say that was one of the weirdest statements I've ever seen by a defendant. It's almost like he was arguing his defense again in front of the judge. His lawyer made me chuckle, bless his heart. They were cringing. The one girl to the right of where Anthony was sitting, she didn't even look up. She was just, she was probably doodling just not to have to pretend like even listening to that nonsense. So I was a little nervous yesterday when I got that deadlock tweet, but they got it right. This man will never see the light of day, as he should not. He has 30 days to submit for an appeal in writing. I'm sure he probably already has that written. He may be getting transferred to prison, so he might not have had time yet. But, anyways, all right. In case something really crazy happens over the weekend, I'm taking the weekend off. I'm going to hang out with my kids. Got something special planned for the young one when the big one's at the prom tomorrow. Sunday, I'm gonna sleep till like 3 o'clock. If I well, no, I won't because I always get up at like 7. But just gonna chill out. Be back Monday, flying solo while Fruit Loop's getting ready for that surgery. Anyways, hope you guys have a good weekend. We will see you soon.